Did you know that according to a Redfin study in 2020, up to 45% of homebuyers considered making an offer on a house without first seeing it in person? This is also known as buying a house sight unseen. But what does buying a house sight unseen mean? Buying a house sight unseen is when a buyer purchases a home without first viewing the property in person. In this scenario, it is quite common that the homebuyer will not see the house in person until the day they get the keys to their new home. So that means that an increasing number of homebuyers are spending hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars buying their new home without first seeing it in person. In this video, we're going to talk about the 7 common reasons why someone buys a house sight unseen, along with who this generally works the best for, along with what the studies suggest. Let's make sure that your new dream home doesn't become your nightmare. If you're new here, thank you for joining in. My name is Finney and I'm an active full-time real estate agent in Las Vegas, Nevada. My passion is to help you make sense of real estate. Over the years, I've put my experience as a top real estate agent to work for my many satisfied clients and for you in the hundreds of videos I've created about the home buying process, the home selling process, home ownership, and even real estate investing. This is to give you the insider knowledge of what to expect so you can succeed with your real estate goals. Now, let's get after it. To be honest with you, my real estate practice here in Las Vegas, Nevada, I've worked with a lot of families that have purchased a home sight unseen for various reasons. You'll have a chance to meet up with a few of them over this 6-part mini-series to learn the ins and outs of buying a house sight unseen, what you should know and what you should avoid. Okay, so let's pull back the curtain and get right into the 7 common reasons why people buy a house without seeing it in person. The first reason is for a long distance or overseas relocation. The second is moving from another state with limited resources for travel. The third is a home buyer that has limited time. The fourth is using this method as a home buying strategy in tight real estate markets. The fifth are for home buyers with medical concerns. The sixth reason is for sheer convenience. And the 7th reason are for real estate investments from a distance. Okay, so those are the 7 common reasons why people buy a house sight unseen. But to further illustrate it, let's talk about who this generally works for the best. The first group are active duty military. Now, active duty military will generally stay on one location in the United States or overseas for a period of 3 to 5 years, depending on their specialty and what duty station they're serving at the time. Now, whenever they get ready to move, they get something called orders. Now, those orders could take them from an overseas location back to the United States or from the United States back overseas. Oftentimes, there is a huge amount of active duty, especially in the summer season, moving from one duty station to the next, oftentimes across the country. They only have a limited amount of time to do that, and they still have to answer our nation's call, serving bravely and courageously to protect our freedoms here at home. The second group are people that are relocating, kind of like the active duty group, but now think of the people relocating as maybe the people that are relocating for a job transfer, people that have a need to get back to family very quickly, and they may not have the time to be able to go from one place to the next because, like the active duty military, they still have a job to perform. So if that's your situation, you'd fall into the people relocating category when you get that sweetheart deal, and it might be in New York and you might be living in Texas. You gotta be there in, let's say, 23 or 27 days, but you need a house. This is a category that this applies to a lot. And in the third category are buyers with medical concerns. Buyers with medical concerns can sometimes have a challenge getting out and about and seeing a home in person. But at the end of the day, we all as people need a roof over our head. This is where video can step up to the plate and shine brightly to help people in that situation where physical viewings aren't always an option for them. By virtue of having that video home tour, they'll have a better idea of the home that they're buying and also be able to ask any additional questions of their trusted real estate advisor that are important to them with their medical needs. I'm super happy in today's day and age, there's video to help every buyer out and accommodate everybody to the best of our ability as trusted real estate advisors. And in the fourth category are buyers in a hot seller's market. Now, you probably have seen those seller's markets where as soon as a listing comes on the market, you're like, oh my God, what happened? It's like gone the next day, or it seems like it's gone within minutes of you just seeing it for the first time, right? I'm sure you can think of a family member or a friend, or perhaps even you, that have been in that situation trying to buy a house and the market was moving so fast it was hard to get a jump on it, right? Now, buying a house sight unseen is an amazing strategy for getting a leg up on the competition, and we'll hear from a gentleman that did just that very successfully in video number 4. And in the fifth category, we are buyers with insane work hours. Now, this could just be someone like a doctor, a nurse, a police officer, first responders in general, or any other occupation that you're expected to work 10, 12, 14 plus hours, 5, 6, and 7 days a week sometimes. Now, it could also be for that person out there that's a hustler, that person out there that's trying to make ends meet, and they got 2 to 3 different jobs going on, but they're also in a position in life now, they're tired of renting and they need a bus to move, and they gotta get a roof over their head, and they're thinking to themselves, how am I going to do this whenever I'm working 14, 16 hours doing 2, 3 different jobs? Or perhaps that doctor that might be operating on one of our family members, we want them focused and we want them clear, right? You feel me? So whenever we look at their situations, we start peeling back that curtain even further and saying, hey, you know what? There's a lot of ways to buy a house, and buying a house sight unseen is one of them. It might be right for you, and we'll find out in a few moments. The sixth category are convenience seekers. Convenience seekers are those people that just really want everything very, very easy. They make it as smooth and as simple as possible. They don't want the stress of driving across the city. They don't want the stress of going into multiple homes. They just want to be able to be comfortable, and there is a certain amount of the population that prefer the convenience of buying a house sight unseen just because it's easy for them. And if you're working with the right agent, it really can be. The seventh category are investors. Now, investors, whether they're local, whether they're out of state, whether they're out of country, what do all investors really care about at the end of the day? They care about how much money are they gonna earn on a specific property when it comes to real estate. So they're sizing up the property. How much does it cost? How much can it rent for? Or if they're thinking of a flip, how much could I potentially flip this property for? Does it make sense numerically on paper? At the end of the day, that investor is only going to be concerned about the numbers. They could give 2 hoots less essentially about seeing the house in person. They want to be able to buy it if it makes financial sense for their investment strategy. So that brings us to the question of the day. And the question of the day is, in what situation would it make sense for you to consider buying a house sight unseen? Tell us in the comment section below. Now, all right, let's take this from a logical point of view and let's see what the studies have to say. In 2019, Redfin found that up to 28% of all homebuyers in the United States made an offer on a house sight unseen. Now, in 2020, Redfin reported that up to 45% of homebuyers have made a house sight unseen or have at least considered doing it. Now, let's contrast it a little bit from an historical perspective in 2015, when only 25% of all homebuyers nationwide would have even thought about buying a house sight unseen. Now, that's great coming from Redfin. Redfin has a lot of wonderful information, but who else can have a lot of interesting demographic information? In this case, let's turn to Zillow and let's see what they have to say. According to Zillow, approximately 30% of Americans would be more likely to try to buy a home entirely online during the coronavirus outbreak, and 43% of sellers would opt for the same. Perhaps a leading observation for at least 2020 is the prevalence of COVID-19 itself. Now, COVID-19 shook up the United States, it shook up the world, and hopefully a lot of us have begun to awake and really get clear on what's most important to us in life. But it's also taught us to think outside the box a lot more. It's taught us that multiple ways are possible to achieve a goal if we stay consistent and we stay focused on what we want to do. Home buying is no different. So you have some people out there that might be concerned about potentially contracting a virus from a pandemic like COVID-19, or depending on when you're watching this, maybe there's not a pandemic. Hopefully that's the case. But at the end of the day, the ability to buy a house sight unseen is an option available to you as a home buyer. At the end of the day, we can take a look at all these studies and we can keep an eye on where they go in the future. Now, one thing is for sure, when we look at the historical information provided by Redfin and Zillow, is that people are starting to buy homes sight unseen more and more commonly. The question is, do they know how to do it the right way to ensure that their dream home doesn't become their nightmare? That's why we're here doing what we're doing, and I applaud you for getting insight today. All right, so now if you're wondering about how to buy a house sight unseen, I'm gonna break down 3 things that I want you to start thinking about as we move forward through this 6-part mini-series. And by the way, a lot more information is going to be available in video 5 and 6 when we go over the 10 steps to buy a house sight unseen and the 13 questions you want to be asking. Now let's get into the 3 key takeaways to start thinking of right now. The first thing you want to do is to select a top-notch agent. I'm going to go ahead and pop up a card right here to teach you how to choose the right agent for you. The second thing that you want to do is to verify that your financing is in order. Now that's going to be true whether you're buying a house sight unseen or whether you actually live in the city you're buying. You always want to verify that you have the right agent, and you always want to verify that the numbers are good to go before you ever get in the car to take a tour of a house. Getting your ducks in a row and ready to go is massively powerful for you. And when you know how much shopping power you have crystal clear clarity moving forward through the home purchasing process. So if you're thinking about buying a house or buying a house sight unseen, let's get your ducks in a row and ready to go with your financing. Jumping the gun on this one could blow your home buying plans. Now, if you're living in one state right now and you are thinking about buying a house in another state and want some more information, I'll make a card available right here about buying a house in another state to go ahead and begin assisting you with that process as well. The third thing is leveraging technology for your benefit. From our comfort of our office, from the comfort of our home, from the comfort of where we are, most of us have a smart device. Smart devices come with this beautiful thing called Google. We can Google the heck out of things and learn so much if we apply our attention to focusing on what's most important to us. Now, when we do that in the home search phase, especially whenever you're buying a house sight unseen, it becomes massively powerful to ensure that you're making a well-informed decision that's right for you for the reasons important to you. So let's leverage technology, and in video 5, I'll deep dive the different technology along with the different sites that you'll want to take into consideration as you choose the right place to call home. So at this point, you might be thinking, hey, you know, I am all on board with this. I'm ready to set sail and go ahead and get going on this bad boy called buying a house sight unseen. Or perhaps you're still like, hey, you know what? I'm kind of warming up to this, but the thought of buying something for hundreds of thousands or even in millions of dollars in some cases makes me a little bit terrified. It makes me a little bit nervous and scared. Both points of view are completely understandable. That's why we have another 5 lessons in this 6-part mini-series that help you make a well-informed decision. After all, who wouldn't be at least a little bit nervous? I mean, let's be honest here, at least a little bit nervous about spending hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars on their house and they haven't even seen it in person. Kind of scary and kind of nerve-wracking, but we can remove that fear, that false evidence appearing real, with knowledge, and that's what you're doing right now. Great job. Now, earlier in this video, I shared with you that you would have the opportunity to meet up with a few of the families that I've helped buy a house, truly sight unseen. And I am super excited to share with you that when I went through all the families that I've worked with in this process, I was ecstatic when I found that I had done this with several different people of several different generations. So we're gonna be going into a generational category in each one of the next 3 videos. The first one will be with the Wasser family, who are of the baby boomer generation. The next family will be the Howard family, who are of Generation X. And the last one will be a gentleman that is a millennial. All 3 points of view, are they the same or are they different? Stay tuned to find out. In the next 3 videos, you'll be hearing directly from them. Now, I have no idea what they're gonna say. All I asked is if they would be agreeable to come on camera and make this video for you and to help me do this for you. And they said, yeah, Andrew, anything that you need, we're down, we're ready to help. And I said, man, let's rock on, let's get this out. But I am a little bit nervous myself because I have no clue what they're gonna say. So we'll find out how they're doing now in their new home, along with what their thoughts of buying a house sight unseen were, along with the lessons they wish to share with you if you're thinking about this. Then make sure that you're ready to go and you have as much information as possible to help you make the right decision for the right place to call your new home. At the end of the day, before you spend hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars, don't you want to make sure that you're getting everything right? If so, then let's get ready to go deeper with the Wasser family. They're the baby boomers who bought their new home while living in Hawaii. Click here to hear their story now, or click here to watch another video. Either way, I'm looking forward to catching up with you and seeing you in the next video.